Hello everyone, my name is Derek and welcome to the Netflix Knowhow, the review show here to help you stop browsing and start watching. Today we have Donald Glover's 2012 comedy special, Weirdo. Donald Glover is probably most well known for the role he played on NBC's Community, which later was picked up by Yahoo and then canceled in 2015. He's also recently been the creative force behind this show Atlanta, which is excellent. Now, I haven't seen a whole lot of either of those shows, but the little that I have seen has been very, very good, so I highly recommend checking those out, and I'm going to be doing that myself as soon as I have some free time. Also, in case you weren't already in the know about this, Donald is going to be our new Lando Calrissian, so be on the lookout for him going on all sorts of fun space adventures with a young Han Solo in the near future. So obviously Donald Glover has some pretty serious comedic acting chops, and he's also proven himself as a very talented writer as well. But how is he as a stand-up comedian? Well, as the title of his special would suggest, he's kind of weird. But he's also really funny. His particular style of comedy is super energetic in a way that almost reminds me of like a young Eddie Murphy. I don't want to say that their subject matter is exactly the same and they're very similar to each other, but just the level of energy that they bring to the stage is very similar in that regard. Most of his jokes are story-based, which means that he draws a lot of influence from his past experiences and from his life growing up and, all different aspects of his life, which I think is really good because when you're telling a story, it is a good way to keep the audience engaged while also being entertained with your humor. Most of his jokes are pretty funny, and he is a very random person. I found myself a lot of the time not really knowing where he was gonna go with certain things, just because he's so off the wall and he's just all over the place. It's crazy. I was once told that the arts to comedy is purposefully setting the bar low and then lowering it even further. And in that regard, I think Donald does a very good job of that. The subjects that he talks about are all over the place, and some of the funnier stories that he tells are stories including a concert involving Lady Gaga and Kanye West. There's also a story he tells about children and how they're little Hitlers, which is something that really resonated with me because I'm not the biggest fan of children. If you've been watching, my previous videos and especially my Little Evil review, you might have already picked up on that, but I found that particular segment and story to be hilarious. And then he does a bit about the use of the N-word, and I thought that was really funny and really different from a lot of other uses that I've seen. The best story he does by far though is a story from his childhood about going to Home Depot with his dad and his brothers. And it's not because the story itself has the best jokes and is the most laugh out loud funny, but as a whole, it's just the most well-paced, it's the most cohesive, and it's just the most fully developed story that also has jokes woven into it, and I thought it was really well done. A lot of his humor is also physically based, and some of the things he's able to do with his body in terms of the physicality is just insane. It's super entertaining, but man, this guy is just all over the place. He works that stage like nobody's business. So as much as I liked the amount of energy that he brought to the show, I did feel it was a little bit inconsistent, and that's not necessarily his fault. He comes out with such a huge amount of energy, and it's just very difficult to maintain that level of energy through the entire show. So there are definitely some dips, particularly towards the middle where the energy level you can definitely feel kind of falls off. It's not the worst thing, it's kind of weird when he starts on such a strong note. He also has a tendency to talk just a little bit too fast, I think, and occasionally he will repeat himself a few more times than is necessary. Maybe that's because he's, trying to catch his breath, or he's, gotten lost in his show or his script somewhere, but it's okay, Donald, you can slow down a little bit, we'll listen, we'll stay with you, don't worry. A lot of his humor is pretty raunchy and sometimes quite twisted, which isn't necessarily a bad thing, but it's a little hit and miss as that sort of humor can be. So some things can be really funny and witty and smart, and other things are just kind of gross and feel kind of lowbrow. He also has this habit of jumping up into like a really high-pitched whining voice, kind of like this, because that's just what he does because he has so much energy. No, that got real annoying, at least for me after a while. Some of it was for characters that he was impersonating and stuff, but You know, you can only take so much of that like high-pitched grating voice before it just really gets on your nerves. Those issues aside, there is still no denying that Donald Glover is an incredibly talented man. At the time he recorded this, he was pretty young. He was only 27 years old, and he's 34 now, so he may have mellowed out a bit, worked on his focus a bit, and you know, I'd love to see him do another comedy special because I think he has, you know, a lot of promise there. The level of energy that he brings to the stage is just so infectious and so much fun, and just the sheer amount of things that he talks about and subjects and just jokes is wonderful. You know, you never know where he's gonna go with something. It's always gonna be new and crazy and a very, very fun, unexpected adventure all the way through. As I said, he could have definitely used a bit more focus and could have slowed down a bit here and there just to help us as the audience follow him better, but it was hilarious overall and I definitely recommend checking it out. Thumbs up. Thank you so much for watching. I appreciate every single one of you. If you've seen this comedy special, go ahead and leave your comments down below. I would love to hear what you guys thought of it. Also, if you have any suggestions, go ahead and leave your comments down below and maybe I'll check them out. You can always head over to Twitter and to Facebook and follow me on there. And as always, if you want to know your flicks, you know where to click. Happy hunting, guys. See you next time.